Sit back and relax as we show you all of the cars and engines in our collection. We will go section by section and shelf by shelf, and I will point out certain highlights. This shelf contains a variety of Athearn and Walthers cars, not a lot of high-end or special run cars here. This shelf features Santa Fe, Union Pacific, Denver and Rio Grande, SPSF, Athearn Blue Box engines. They have been nicely detailed, and all of them have had break-in time but no track time. The engines were oiled and greased, along with the drive lines, put on an engine holder, and had 15 minutes of runtime both forward and reverse, and then were put back in the box and stored. This shelf features again a variety of items. Here on the left are Christmas cars for the 12 days of Christmas and special events. There are a few more in the back. There's some trailers, trucks, chassis. There's a grain truck, some track re-railers. Down here we have a few more specialty item cars, which I will show you. AccuRail, AccuReady. Here is a 4-truck depressed center flat car. A flat car with John Deere trailers, well, tractors. Here is a Burlington Northern Desert Storm caboose. Down here is a popular car with a lot of collectors. The wood chip cars just seem to be really popular. We have both the Milwaukee Road and the CSX. Down below is a Mantua Christmas train set. Here is the second section. A couple of standouts here are the Toy Story car set and the Hy-Vee grocery store car set. Here's some Hobbytown of Boston drive units. My dad powered up a lot of his basic engines with the Hobbytown drives to make them stronger and quieter, and had a better flywheel for coasting. Here are some nice tank cars. These are the Atlas tank cars, a variety of sizes. There's also the crane, the work cranes. More tank cars. Here are some loose tank cars. They've been detailed and weighted. I should mention that all the cars my dad built, he weighted to the NMRA standards, added KD couplers, used a coupler gauge to get them to correct height, and then stored them. Here's a couple of little more unusual. They're cryogenic reefers. Those are a really popular car too. We have a number of them around here. I haven't found them all yet, along with a set of 5-unit spine cars. Some covered hoppers. More open hoppers. Exact Rail's a little nicer of a brand. These are a little more higher end. Then here in the background is the later run of the Intermountain a Lifesaver car, called that because of all of the colors made it look like a Lifesaver candy roll. Some bulkhead flat cars. This next shelf has a variety of hoppers, both PS hoppers and ACF hoppers. These have all been weighted, KD couplers applied, and all of them have steel wheels added. He didn't like metal wheels that much because of the noise on the tracks. He preferred plastic, but I was talking him into doing the steel, and this is what these are the few that he got to. There's a few more down below. This is all metal wheels again, but more just a variety of cars here. You've got box cars, hoppers, air slides, cylindrical hoppers. Down here were a few houses that he bought at a train show that were pre-built, along with these. We had purchased these two ship kits. Say that 10 times fast. They're more in scale size, but we were going to build them and put them in the background for forced perspective. I was actually going to take one of them and convert it into a container ship. Section 3. On the top shelf here, you will see the first part of his unit train of 5-bay rapid discharge hoppers. All of these, most of these anyway, have the coal loads in them. And again, weighted, correct coupler heights. And what coal loads he doesn't have in him are down below, just ready to be installed. Some miscellaneous cars. This right here, this little grouping, are mostly club cars from the Rio Grande Valley Model Train Club in New Mexico, where if you watch the history video, you'll know that's where we basically grew up and came from. First one is one of the box cars. And this is one of the ACF covered hoppers. And he got all the numbers that were available so they could all run together and you wouldn't see a repeating reporting mark. Here is the rest of the 5-bay rapid discharge cars. I think I counted and there were about 60 to 70 up in total between this and what was on the shelf above. Here were the extra loads that hadn't been installed yet, but we do have them all. Coming down are some track parts. And this begins the ACF and PS car collection. He had a lot of the ACF and PS hoppers. That was his favorite type of car. And you can see here he had, if it was available, he bought it. I'll pull a couple out and show them to you. I'm just going to do a pan across here so you can see all the names. The more rare ones are in another part of the room, and we'll get to that in just a little while. But this gives you an idea how he stored them after weighting them and putting the couplers in them. A lot of them were wrapped completely in paper towels and taped shut. And it took us a long time to open them all up and get them done. Here are some Concours, mostly hoppers, few box cars, as you will see by the tags on the ends. And box cars, rail box cars, and more hoppers. This is a variety of cars. There's some passenger cars in here, lumber cars, and he has quite a few special edition sets, of which we'll be featuring those in the short, under 1 minute videos. Down here was a set of freight F7A and B units for the Santa Fe Railroad, and then a set from Baltimore. Section 4 starts with all of the display cases that he used for the bookshelves upstairs that he put his favorite trains and engines in. Here's a selection of Concours, old Athearn, and AccuRail sets. The Concours in the middle are all the Santa Fe boxcars, and I believe they're all different numbers, different road numbers. And over here, there's some old Athearn, I believe, yeah, 2 work cranes. And a few more just odds and ends. CS repaints, GP38s. We'll feature that in an upcoming short. And the AccuRail 3-packs. Down here is a variety of IHC hoppers again, PS hoppers. As you can see, there's some of those odd co-op elevator cars for the cities stretched across the upper Midwest. We have a whole section that we'll be getting to that shows the more rare ones. And just a few more hoppers here. Then down here on the lower shelf, there's some Craftsman kits, Campbell Craftsman kits, Bridge Truss kits, some more special editions. And this section right here, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, as it will have its own video. This is a 100-car coal train with 6 engines, I believe is what it is. I'll get the full count. They're all custom painted by my dad. He won a number of awards. We'll make a video showing all the cars together. That was the paint scheme. Custom decals he made. Every car was done this way, as were the engines. I'll show I won't show you the big engines, but I'll show you one of the U-boats. Again, everything was custom painted and detailed, custom graphics, custom decals made for them. He won a number of awards at model train events with this train, both national and local events, but we'll show that later. Down here, a couple of extra cars, the map cars from the Santa Fe, another hopper, and of course, what every railroader needs that's building a railroad, voltage detector gauge. Section 5. This top section up here, mostly these are just empty boxes for the engines that are sitting over in the display case, which we will go over shortly. Coming down, you'll see more club cars and just a variety of models from both McKeon, Athearn, some Walthers, Roundhouse mixed in. Some of these are co-op hoppers again, but these are the doubles and triples of the ones that we have displayed over on another table. All right, on this shelf, there's another depressed center flat car, another crane, more wood chip cars. I think both these were Santa Fe. Here are bulkhead flat cars. All of these are Montana Rail Link. Just more odds and ends. You'll be able to see by the ends what they are. Here are some Walthers hoppers, both the small 2 bays and a quad hopper. Next shelf down, we have a small stack of AHM, some tank cars, interiors for passenger cars, some of the SE sets we featured in the 1-minute videos, and more engines. You'll see the notes that he has on everything. He always did that so he knew where he was in the construction phase. Down on the bottom, you'll see a 4-box set of, these are 3 containers in each box from a variety of roads. This whole shelf is containers. This is a stack of Maersk. Right here, each one of the paper towels has 2 of these containers. And then you have some Santa Fe. More coal loads. This is where we start getting into the track pieces and sections. And this is just some little jump track pieces, small sections, and the beginning of the switches. He did mostly Atlas Code 100 nickel silver with brown ties. Section 6 starts off with a Chicago Northwestern passenger set from Concours. A few more miscellaneous cars and engines. This shelf features a CSX, a BNSF, and a Santa Fe -9. Well, both -9s. The CSX was a switcher. Here's some rail power. This was a company that was doing a lot of shells that the main manufacturers were not doing back about 30 years ago, and you had to build it and custom paint it yourself. We had quite a few of these that he did. I'm not sure. This was a Zia Power that was supposed to match the power plant that he was building. You'll see in a little while. Next shelf has all the Burlington Northern engines. We have some switchers, GP units, F units, U-boats, more GPs, FP units, SD units, more SD units. Being that we were from the Southwest and New Mexico, Colorado area, obviously having Burlington Northern mixed in with the Santa Fe was not uncommon, both in the prototype and modeling. Next shelf down, just a variety of Roundhouse and Athearn cars. And some Proto 2000s. Here's one of Walther's double track bridges and their Roundhouse. More switches. Here's some Code 83. This was a large curve. I'm not sure why he has this. AccuRail cars, cranes, boxcars, hoppers, and more switches. Both left hand and right hand in these totes. And crossovers. And electric cord if you want to see an electric cord. Okay, next we're heading into his workshop. Up here on the top of these shelves, you can see some of the awards he's won for his modeling over the years. 2 bottles of water. Some spray paint. Moving down, more structures that he would buy at shows with the idea of weathering on them, detailing them out, and putting them on the layout. But see the history video about the layouts as to why they were never on one. Oh, I should scan around here. Here is the power packs, the trawler, which in its day was probably the best pack that there was. And then some Tech 7s here. A jar of screws. Paint and alcohol. Know what the alcohol is for. Cut yourself making all those models. Here was his compressor. Pretty heavy duty compressor for his airbrush guns. For all the custom painting he would do. All the wiring that he had. Just more general things for the layout. Insulator. Turning here. Coming around. Just tools, totes, and totes. I can't tell you how many totes we've had to go through of just parts and parts. I'll give you a little history about that real quick. When you'd get a new structure, he would open it. He would take everything out. He would put all of the windows in one tote, put all the panels for the building in another tote. Instructions would be filed in a cabinet. And that, for him, it was an organization the way he liked to do it. For us, it's been a real headache trying to get everything put back together. More kits. I'm going to spin around here. This is where a lot of stuff had been stored originally. This is the utility room. Right now, all we have, and we'll go through all of this better later, there's a lot of structures back through there. We will pull them out in a future video, and we will show you. He had very large industries. He had an ADM elevator that was 9 foot long, and it could handle about 30 cars. All the books for all the modeling stuff he was doing. More totes with details. Tools. 4 phones for whatever reason. His bins that he used to strip paint off of things. And shelves of more and more parts. And tons of tools. I have found so many duplicates, triplicates, quadruplicates of every tool that you could possibly imagine that you would need for modeling. I don't know if he just didn't remember what he bought and then just bought more, or if he felt he was just going to need more than one. And all the little parts. Drawers and drawers of screws and details and little parts. Everywhere. And more here. Now this is candy, as you can see. My wife's a teacher, and this year we bought a bunch of these through auction as gifts for the kids. Next year we had to get about 1,000 candy canes, so that's what that is. He didn't have an addiction to candy canes. This is where he spent most of his time, was right here. This is his workbench, all of his tools and totes of things that he was in the process of working on. Then he had this test track right here, and it was attached to the layout that was in that other room. He would work on the engines and cars. He'd put them here, test the engines back and forth a little bit, and then he'd run them out onto the layout. More drawers full of parts. And more. This is the base of that diesel servicing facility that you saw in the other room, and we'll feature that in a separate video. More and more. Spin around. Here's the cradle that he used to work on his engines with, that he would turn the engines upside down on and break them in. And more totes. And as I was saying, here are all the totes with all the parts for all the structures that we are going to have to line back up. He's got all the boxes, but just took everything out. So we are going to have to figure out where all these go. There was one of his awards. That was the award that he won for the auto train. We will be doing a separate video about that. That auto train, just a little preview about it. It was a 32-car train with 3 engines. And we actually took it out to the auto train headquarters in Washington, D.C. and met the CEO at the time. And they were so impressed that we got a free ride down to Florida with a suite. More engines. More wire. Another electrical cord. That's pretty much what's in almost all these boxes. Is got to have electricity with your trains. This was that feed track. This is the thing we had track on here that went all the way down into the layout. More power packs. One of my drawings. I am a railroad artist myself. That's a 3-truck shay. Quite a few yardsticks. He would do those he would use to make his radiuses with. And there's the boxes for the structures that we got to put all the parts back into. And then there's just tons and tons of details and parts. More wire. This is one of the structures that we'll be featuring. This was the power plant. It's got about 7 buildings to go with it. It's the Walther's basic power plant kit that we added a bunch of Pike stuff kits to with custom conveyors. And we'll have that all set up at some point, and we'll do a special video for that. More and more parts. Track pieces and things you need for the connections and his switches. More artwork. Here you get into the scenery stuff, talus, gravel, all of that. This is stuff we're just now starting to go through. There's still more totes for us to open. These just have more, mostly just this is scenery. Few cars in them, backdrops, things like that. Section 7. These cars are all finds that he had at train shows or state sales. And what he would do is he would always check them for the stirrup steps, details to make sure everything was there. He never bought anything that was broken. And then, like I said before, he would bring them back and he would weight them to NMRA standards and put Katie's on if they weren't already and get the coupler heights taken care of. Some really neat ones here. Another club car. Some small air slides. And some billboard cars. You like billboard cars for the box cars, as you can see. Here's some of the Hy-Vee cars. He bought extras. That was a butter car, obviously. And more ACFs. Down below here, and we'll get to this in a different video, were 3 bascule bridges in various stages of completion. Along the long wall in this room, when he had the perimeter part of the layout, he was going to have he had 3 tracks, a siding track and 2 mains, and he was going to have them all lined up there together over a river, all operational. Back up to the train show cars. Just a variety. There's hoppers, box cars, reefers, billboards. Here were some of the color mark Sioux PS hoppers. They're a little more collectible for some reason. They tend to sell for a little higher in price. Then there's a Sioux ACF, and a Domino Sugar. Coming over. Another billboard card with the popsicle. There's 4 more of the lumber load cars. Various roads. More box cars and reefers, more lumber cars. And more billboard cars. And there's one of the Canadian agricultural cars. That's a little more of a collectible car there. Next set over. More of the billboard cars, more Hy-Vee cars. And again, all these cars have been upgraded, weighted, couplers, more billboards. He liked lumber cars. I don't know why he collected so many lumber cars. He never bought the lumber mill, so I'm not sure what that was all about. Here was the Roundhouse manufacturer's anniversary car. Moving over. Here's a variety of hoppers, box cars, a little more unusual road names. There's basic Santa Fe here. And a couple of unusual road names and basics. Elevators for the mine. And another compressor. Section 8. This features the AccuRail ACF hoppers. Some of the more unusual names. Dad always liked the odd ones. And he has multiples. If it's stacked like this, it means it's the same car underneath. More grain cars. Again, more unusual, like the pool. They actually drew a northern. And then the two down here with the corn products. More of the Athearn hoppers. Another one of the census cars. NJ Plastics. Down below are all of the extra. He would go and he would just buy shells at the train shows, and he did quite a bit with it. There's a waffle side boxcar there. There's open hoppers. He would paint them up for a variety of things and decal them out. This section here is mostly air slides, paired air slides and singles. And again, if there's two boxes, it's the same. The GATXs. Always like the GATXs with that light blue paint scheme and that the drawbar to shorten the length. Cargill. Dad loved Cargill. One of the plants we had that we'll be showing you is a Cargill plant. Here's some Diffco dump cars, so road service cars, more paired air slides. Just a variety of little things. Down here, more scenery, trees, track crossings, things like that. More track details. Section 9. This is going to have a lot of interesting things on this. Up here at the top, we've got some Walthers hoppers. Denver Grand boxcar, UP, and here's where we do have. We've been digging and finding all of the semi-trucks, cars, police cars, dump trucks, vehicles, things like that. U-Haul trailers. And you can see there the New Mexico one, obviously. Two of those. Now we get into the co-op elevator cars that were for we did a short video on this, but these are for the cities, towns in the upper Midwest, stretching anywhere from Colorado to Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota. I'll do a short pan over all of them. We kind of covered this already, but I'll do a little more detail here. Let you really be able to see the cities. These are both Roundhouse and Athearn cars. And yes, the prototypes were pink. Since these are so limited run, these have become fairly collectible. People look for towns they know or areas they're from. And I don't believe that any of these have been rerun since when they first came out. And down here is just a mixture of a few other hoppers. That co-op. I've always liked that co-op, or not co-op, the CMA, Cooperative Marketing Association. We've got a couple of those running around here somewhere. And then just a lifelike engine set. I think it's a power and a dummy and a caboose. Union Pacific. Section 10. These are the display cases where Dad kept all of his engines. We have sold a number of them over the past year or so, but there's still a decent amount. Almost all of these are Athearn. There's, I think, 3 or 4 Cato, and there's, Athearn Genesis. There's only about 2 or 3, maybe 4 that are DCC ready. He didn't like DCC. He just didn't want to have to go through all the wiring and have to change. He was just old school since he's been collecting since the 40s. But here you can see Santa Fe, Rio Grande Valley, demonstrators, Union Pacific. Now here's a bunch of engines that we have featured in the boxes. You can see the 1-minute shorts on those. Here's some Atlas engines. Now these are DCC ready. And then of course over here is the F-59 and passenger pieces. And that Trinity billboard special painted car with the corn husks, cobs. And then down below, these are all Athearn blue box that he has detailed out for a variety of types of antennas, and every engine that he liked, he would try to match what the prototype looked like of the day when he did it. And more of them. Down here at the bottom, these are all Pueblo buildings that I built for him since he was modeling the Southwest, obviously. I built the prototype out of styrene and built the walls as individual sections, created the molds, made molds for each part, and then poured the plaster and made each one of these out of plaster sections, glued them together, and then painted them up. This is the Taos Pueblo, and this is based on the Taos Pueblo Church. This is the Thomas items that my dad bought for when my son would come over and they would build layouts up in the living room. We'll go into this more detail. We're actually going to attempt to build all these going by the box top pictures, and we'll have a video of that. So wish us luck on that, because I don't even know if we even have all the track pieces, but we're going to give it our best attempt to do it, and then we'll put all the pieces back in their correct boxes. But you can see there's a lot of track. And none of it is in its correct box, I'm sure. So we'll come through here. And we've already made a short video on all of this, but like I said, we'll be making a more full video showing the entire Thomas collection. There are some real rare items in here, and we'll go over that in that video, but this pretty well wraps it up. There are a few things left to be unboxed, but we will make individual videos for those. So if you like this, please do like and subscribe, and that way you'll get the notifications when the other videos are made, showing anything that we have missed or that we were going to do that we haven't yet. For example, like all of the structures that we'll pull out and we'll set up the way we were going to have them, or we did have them on the layouts, or we were going to have them on the layouts. There'll be an ADM complex, a mine, a power plant, and a variety of other things, and they were all huge. But thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this small look at my dad's collection and the family's collection.